Hello and welcome to another edition of Steve Y, the Fix-It Guy. I'm Steve Yakshi, and today we're going to be replacing this old ceiling fan. It's gotten out of balance and making noise, and it's just plain ugly. So let's get this one off and put a new one on. Our new ceiling fan is a Salem model from Harbor Breeze. So let's get this installed. This is the mounting bracket to attach the ceiling fan to the ceiling. This will actually attach to the bracket that's up in the ceiling. We're going to loosen all four of these screws and actually remove two of them for attaching the ceiling fan later on. Note, this is to hang the ceiling fan while we connect the wires before we actually install it. And this is the ground wire that will attach as well. Okay, so we're going to feed these wires through the hole in the bracket. And then we're going to use two screws to mount this to the bracket that's up in the ceiling. Okay, so that's secure. Now we can mount the ceiling fan. Okay, so we're going to sit there and just use this hook to hang our fixture until we get these wires connected. So the first thing we're going to do is connect our ground wires. And get them tucked away. Alright, so now we've got three wires coming from the ceiling to match the three wires in our fan. So we'll connect white to white using our wire nuts. So we'll connect black to black. So the third wire coming from the ceiling is red, and we're going to connect that to our blue wire. And what this does is give us separate fan and light control. And we'll tuck these wires away, and then we'll lift our ceiling fan off of the hook, put it up on two screws, turn it so that they're retained. And we'll tighten these screws up and put our other two in. Alright, now it's time to put the fan blades on. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is to assemble our blades. So we have the blade arm and our blades. We're going to connect this. We kind of prefer the darker side of the blade. So we're going to connect it like this. And then we're going to put our blade screws and washers on and tighten them down with a Phillips head screwdriver. So we've got all five of our fan blades assembled. So now we're going to install them. We're going to feed it through the slot, and we've got three Phillips head screws that we're going to use to attach it. We're going to tighten up our last screw on our last fan blade. We're done. Time to move on to the next step. Okay. So this is our light pan we're going to install next. First thing we want to do is loosen these screws right here, these caps, and we're going to remove this light cage, get it out of the way for this installation. So we're going to remove the light cage. Now we've got access to this once we put it up in order to install the rest. There are three screws up here for securing the light pan. We're going to remove one of them, and then we're going to loosen the other two and leave them in place. We're going to get the connector, the electrical connector, through the hole, and we're going to find those two screws that we loosened, get them through the holes, and turn it so that they're in place. Tighten them up and add the third screw. This is our light kit we're going to install next. This holds our two light bulbs, and this will be secured by some screws up in the light pan. There are three screws up here that the light kit screws into. We're going to remove one of the screws, loosen the other two. Very similar to what we did for the light pan. We're going to then connect our electrical connector. It's keyed. There's a lock, so once you get it all the way in there, it'll click, and then we'll raise the light kit up, find our 2 screws, get them in there, and turn it to secure it. So now we're going to tighten up our 2 screws, add the 3rd one, and we'll be done with that. So we're tightening our last screw. Now it's time to put our light bulbs in and then add the light cage. These are the light bulbs that came with the fan. They use filament LEDs, which is interesting, but we're going to install those. LEDs are always nice because they're bright, but they also save us a lot of energy. Now the last thing we want to do is install the light cage. So we have our light cage on, and we're going to use the caps to screw on and secure the light cage. Our last and final step is to install the pull chains for the light and the fan. The longer chain is our light, so we'll attach the pull that has the light figure on that. The shorter one is actually the fan, so we'll attach the pull with the fan on it. And now we'll test it. So we've restored power to the fixture. Let's see if they work. First we'll try the light. There it is. And then finally our fan. Looks like our work is done.